Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our valued audience and speakers, depending on where you are. Welcome to the highly anticipated YALDA and College Guide Africa webinar, the marketplace and the various opportunities available, how to develop skills for the future. My name is Alan Bwire, YALDA Multimedia Writing Team member, and I will be co-moderating the session with Rediala Ade Sukanmi, Outreach and Event Director at Educational Guidance Development Initiative, also known as College Guide Africa. It is a pleasure to moderate today's session.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Radiala Adiskomi and I'm the Outreach and Events Director in Educational Guidance Development Initiative, also known as College Guide Africa, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be moderating today's session.
Okay, thank you, Radiela. When you enter the webinar, make sure you are on mute. Remain on mute throughout the webinar. Ensure your camera is off. We need to respect everyone else's data consumption, as data is expensive in Africa. Type your questions or comments in the chat box. Only put your name and country. Those whose questions or comments are selected will be asked to unmute and speak. If you're asked to speak, you must introduce yourself by name and country only. Then repeat the questions or comment you typed in the chat box. I hope that is clear. So the global job market is evolving rapidly, shaped by digital transformation, automation, and emerging industries. For Africa's growing youth population, navigating this shifting landscape requires a clear understanding of the marketplace and proactive strategies to develop relevant skills. This webinar themed the marketplace and the various opportunities available, how to develop skills for future, is designed to help youth, educators, and early career professionals to explore how they can adapt, compete, and thrive in the future of work. From entrepreneurship and remote work to digital freelancing and sustainable careers. The marketplace is more dynamic than ever, yet many young Africans lack access to the guidance, resources, and mentorship needed to seize these opportunities. This webinar, therefore, seeks to close that gap. Through expert insights, practical advice, and interactive discussions, participants will be empowered to understand evolving career trends, leverage tech tools and platforms, build transferable skills, position themselves competitively for local and global opportunities. And this collaboration also between College Guide Africa, Educational Guidance Development Initiative, and YALDA continues our mission of equipping Africa's youth for success in the ever-changing world. I would like to invite my co-host, Rediala, to take us through the objectives of this webinar. Welcome, Rediala. Rediala?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm here now. Thank you, Alan, for that. So the objectives for today's webinar are exploring the evolving dynamics of the global and African job market, showcasing diverse career paths and skill building opportunities available to young people, providing practical strategies for identifying and developing future-ready skills, discussing the role of technology, creativity, and entrepreneurship in shaping modern career journeys, creating an inclusive space for dialogue, networking, and empowerment across sectors. So we recognize Oluwafelami Awe Joseph from Nigeria as the author of this webinar's concept notes. So before we get started, I'd like the audience to type in their name and the country from where they are from in the chat box. So everyone should kindly do that, please. All right, jumping right into it, we have a very exciting lineup of speakers today, and I'm going to start by introducing them. So our first speaker for today is Hamilton Comfort. He is a technologist, systems builder, and advocate for the practical African innovation from Kenya. Then we have Jenny Shagaya. She's an entrepreneur, a medical physicist, youth and civic leader from Mauritius. Then we have Kekeli Yodokino, is the founder and CEO of Keldop Global Innovations from Ghana. Then we have Bente Krugman. She's the CEO of Ilcraft from Kenya. Then we have Willem Meritz, is an entrepreneur and people developer from the UAE. We have Adesua Ekembuda. She's the country director of EdTech Global Nigeria. She's the co-founder of Osemode Center, and she's a youth development advocate from Nigeria. Then we have Justice Isana, is the founder and executive director the Pronet Business Solutions, is a corporate trainer and skills development advocate from South Africa. Then finally, we have Destiny Gladys Chaiga. She's the founder and director at Atma Creative Initiative Limited. She's a social entrepreneur, a public speaker, poet, and spoken word artist from Uganda. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'll be starting with the overall question, and that is, how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills to succeed in their future of work? So, Hamilton, can you kindly start off and go first and answer this question? Hamilton, are you there, please? All right, I think we can start with Janisha then. Okay, Hamilton is back. Thank you very much. Can you go ahead and answer the question?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'll not go really to the introductions. So I'd answer that by saying, we're living in an era where change is no longer episodic, but rather it's very much constant. And technology, climate change, AI, globalizations are all really redrawing the job map across every continent. So in the evolving marketplace, then the greatest currency is not just what you know, but rather how quick you can learn and also adapt. So for young people, myself included, to thrive really, I'd talk about three pillars. One is the first one would be adaptability. The second will be blended skills, and thirdly, briefly I'll talk about local relevance. So first with adaptability, then the world really no longer rewards fixed expertise, but rather it rewards agility. So whether you are trained as a lawyer or a teacher, then the moment you embrace digital tools, then data thinking and continuous learning, then you widen your opportunity, for instance. Then we talk about blended skills. In the future of work, a good coder who can't communicate will lose to a decent coder or an average coder who can communicate and rather collaborate also. And for instance, a data analyst who lacks empathy for human needs will then build systems that alienate the very people they are meant to serve. So the magic lies in the hybridity, mixing the technical know-how with human-centric skills. And then when I mention local relevance, I'm speaking about us needing to stop importing every model. the problem Africa faces, from access to healthcare, to financial exclusion, and all these other things, are different. And each and every region, even in Africa itself, is is needs to be addressed. The problems in them need to be addressed contextually and localized, and the products need to be localized. So that means that the skills and the solutions we need must be culturally fluent, resource aware, and proudly African. And the global economy does not need workers, but rather it needs builders, and builders who understand both Python and poverty, builders who debug both software and the society. So I'd reiterate by saying that the two unities are in our communities. So the only permission we need is our own initiatives. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, Hamilton. So to recap, it talked about how technology is changing the world, and the best way we can navigate today's marketplace is adaptability, communication, collaboration, and making sure our skills and solutions are locally relevant, and we also come up with our own initiatives. Thank you for that, Hamilton. So Janisha, can you kindly go next and answer the question? How can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills to succeed in the future of work? Thank you.
Thank you, Radiola, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to speak on a topic that is not just timely, but vital. Like Hamilton said that we are now transforming into the first ever market where AI, automation, remote work, energy, and digital platform are rewriting the rules of work. So we are here living in the fourth industrial revolution. Among us, I see that we are mostly African countries. So I must say that in Africa, with over 60% of the population are under the age of 25, and this is both massive and a challenge as well as a great opportunity. So the task for us is that we must equip ourselves with the skills, mindset, and adaptability to remain relevant and competitive, both locally and globally. So what actions should we take? First of all, we need to build a transferable skills, communication, critical thinking, and digital literacy. For instance, take the story of Yolami Ojodev, one of today's writers. She leveraged her skills in storytelling and education to launch initiatives that guide thousands of students in Nigeria. Second, we should learn how to learn. The jobs of tomorrow may not exist yet, but if we know how to upskill quickly, we will always stay ahead. That's how future-ready thinking works. There are platforms like Coursera, Google Career Certificates, LinkedIn, opportunities for youth, massive open online courses, and as well as courses offered by the embassy and ministries within the country. We have aspiring institutions and also universities that offer free courses. Third is to embrace digital skills. Coding, graphic design, data analysis, online marketing, they are no longer optional. Whether you're in finance, agriculture, health, technology will touch your work. Fourth is to build soft skills, emotional intelligence, teamwork, problem solving, adaptability. These will normally set you apart. Next, I would say that we don't need to wait. Entrepreneurship is no longer limited to building big businesses. Start where you are. Create a podcast, sell crafts online, offer tutoring. You don't need capital. You need clarity and consistency first. So young people must stop waiting for systems to be perfect. We must think mentorship. Join platforms like YALDA, YALI, United People, Amazon Leadership, European Union, African Leadership academy, and there are many more where we can collaborate across sectors. Peer-to-peer learning and global networking have never been more accessible than it is today. So personally, I have been in all these communities which have opened doors. I was someone who had no prior access to tech training, yet I am now in sustainable brands because someone gave me the tools and I now take the leap. 4 years back, I was figuring how could I irrigate my whole farm, and today I am glad to see that my automatic water harvesting is working. So you see, youth across continent are already leading innovation, and each of these results start with awareness, belief, collaboration, followed by action. So in closing, I leave you with this. The future work is not something to wait for. It is something to create. We may not we may not control how far the world changes, but we do control how ready we are. Whether you're an artist, an engineer, or a farmer, the skills you build today will determine the opportunities you unlock tomorrow. So let's be proactive, let's be intentional, and let's be future ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Janisha. To recap, Janisha worked us out on how to remain relevant locally and globally. And she said we should build transferable skills such as digital literacy. She said we have to know how to learn, and we can do this through courses available online. We have to learn how to create, and we also have to seek mentorship because we can't do these things alone. So thank you very much, Janisha. Kekeli, Yao, Dokino, please can you answer the general question? How can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills to succeed in their future work? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, great. I had a network glitch. Could you repeat the general question for me again?
Okay, how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills to succeed in their future work?
Okay, great. So thank you once again for having me. Now, first of all, let me tackle the first point of that question. You first of all need to understand an evolving market to even develop a right skill for it. Usually, what I believe our youth have been focusing on is basically what they learned in their universities. So if you're on this call and you really want to learn how to evolve and even develop the right skill, you first of all need to understand that the evolving market is focused on what the SDGs. And if we are looking at the SDGs, what else are we looking at? We are looking at what we call the ESG principle: environment, social, and governance. So whatever you studied in your university as a degree, it can be economics whatsoever, you need to understand that the market has evolved to be focused on the sustainable development goals. So even if you are into fintech, you need to understand that fintech is not limited to just transfer of money, but there is that of health, trying to figure out how to solve health issues. There is that trying to solve that of issues of food security, agriculture, and so on and so forth. The next thing, therefore, is after I identify this evolving market, how then do I develop the right skills to fit into them? Developing the right skill would, just like the speaker who spoke before me said, joining the right platforms and so on and so forth. But I decided to name some few platforms that you can really make use of to develop the right skill, with number one being project management skills. Basically, these days, and companies are looking out for people who can multitask. And when we say multitask, it's not you sending emails and maybe answering phone calls alone, but also being able to do multiple things. So when it comes to platforms to develop some of these right tools, I would like to highlight one being Yunus Germany. So when you go online, Yunus Germany has developed a platform for those of you who want to develop skills in non-profit sector, where you say, okay, I want to go work for an NGO, but I'm into economics, or maybe I'm into health, or I'm into community engagement. They will train you on the proper skills you need to be able to survive in such industries. For those of you who are interested in going into the for-profit space, when I say for-profit, we are looking at mostly the SDGs that tend to generate revenue, such as agriculture, health, and so on and so forth. You can make use of what we call Onlokino. When you go online, this platform is readily available for you to learn practical skills towards monetizing some of these things. Another platform that can help you to develop the right skill is the Star Africa Germany community platform. So what happens there is there are free courses that would help you to develop skills that are not focused on just Africa, but that of Europe. So you become viable for both the African and the European markets in the field of entrepreneurship or basically working for somebody else. And the next one that I would also like to highlight in terms of platform is what we call Hub for Africa. For our brothers and sisters who are the global south or maybe the Eastern Africa, what happens is this. You want to migrate to maybe Europe, you want to migrate into United States, you need to have certain skills which are focused on these very industries or communities or markets you are penetrating. So Hub for Africa has skill training for people who want to acquire skills in TVET that are focused on both Africa and the European and American market. You can go there. Those of you also want to develop language skills, which is one of the key skills you need to have to survive in this job market. Hub for Africa also has a platform. There are several other platforms, but to wrap it up, number one being understanding the evolving market, and now the market is focused on SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and ESG principle, meaning environmental, social, and governance. That's why you hear things like diversity, equity, ability to work with people of different backgrounds, and so on and so forth. The next being developing the right skill, where I've highlighted some of these platforms: Star Africa, Onlokino, Hub for Africa, and a whole lot of platforms, Azubi Africa, for those of you who want to go into tech to develop the right tech skills to be able to thrive in the job market. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you very much, Kekeli. So to recap, you talked about how we have to first understand the developing markets, and that is that it has evolved to focus on the SDGs and the ESGs. And he now talked about that after we understood the market, we now have to learn how to build these transferable skills. And we can do this through platforms such as Onkino, Unis Germany, App for Africa, and Star Africa Germany platform. So thank you very much, Kikeli. Bente, can you kindly answer the overall question next?
Thank you, and yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Bente. I'm the CEO of Hillcroft. We're an insurtech based in Nairobi, and I think I'm supposed to speak about my my financial and career planning habits. Is this where we are starting now, or you want me to more relate to the question answered previously?
Oh, not yet. We'll still get to that.
Okay. I think a lot has been said, right? And what I would really like to point out is from my previous speakers in the terms of the SDGs. I think when you're developing today, whether it's as a person or as a business, or also as a country, I think you can't get around the SDGs. So my mentor was just recently speaking to me about it. When your personal goals and development path is not fully aligned with at least 3 of them, and I am still wondering why he told me it's 3, you're missing out on this future. So I'm following what especially I think from Mauritian colleague has said. So I would really focus on the SDGs and take it really deep there, and not too wide though. Pick 3 and take it from there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Bente. To recap, she also reiterated on the focus on the SDGs, and she mentioned that if our personal goals and development path is not fully aligned with at least 3 of them, we have to check back. So yes, just pick 3 SDGs and make sure your personal goals and development part is aligned to that. Thank you very much, everyone. So I'll be handing over to Alan to walk through the overall question with the next set of speakers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rediela. We were talking about how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills needed to succeed in the future work. So our next speaker is Willem Maritz, the entrepreneur and people developer from UAE. We're asking how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills needed to succeed in the future work. Welcome, Willem.
Good evening, everybody. Great to be here. So I want to tag on with what one of the previous speakers said about you have to understand what is the evolving market and work from there and align yourself to be of value in terms of what the world is going to need. So I want to speak specifically about probably the biggest trend in the future of work that will impact all of us. And it's not yet AI. We'll speak about AI as well. It's about what is happening to jobs. The reality is, and there's quite a strong consensus across futurists all over the world, that less of us will be in jobs. So the first thing I want you to think about when you prepare yourself for your career forward is that your career is less likely to be in the context of a job like what your parents probably had. So think less about finding a job and think more about earning. We often think that there's two alternatives. There's either you have to find a job, or you have to be an entrepreneur and build a venture. And both of those will still be there, but a small percentage of people will actually build ventures where you employ people and you build a big company, and a small percentage of people will be in jobs. The majority of us will be solopreneurs or freelancers or gig workers. And that requires a very specific mindset and skill set that you need to prepare yourself for. And I think it's very exciting, actually, all of the things that we always thought is uncool about jobs, where you have to work at 9 to 5 and you go to the office and you do the same thing day after day. All of those things will probably not be applicable to you. The exciting part is you can actually now follow a career where you can earn stuff, you can do a variety of stuff, you can work from home, you can work from Bali, and you can earn in US dollars. And really, the life is flexible and open for you if you align yourself well to this. So we focus a lot on helping young talent to understand what it means to prepare yourself for this future, where you're more likely to kind of work for yourself or maybe work with a small group of your mates. And we categorize those skills in 5 categories. The first is prepare, as how you do analysis and research and find out what the skills or what the market wants. The second one is create, is how do you create solutions and offers? Even if you're a service provider, a professional like an accountant, how do you shape an offer or a unique value proposition to the market? And the third one is promote. How do you sell yourself? How do you create a profile? How do you create a good reputation, social media, and all of those things? The fourth category is deliver. Deliver reliably. I work a lot with freelancers from Fiverr or freelancer.com or Upwork. And a lot of them are great at what they do and how they promote themselves. But when it comes to delivery, it's very shaky. So make sure you know how to deliver sustainably, on time, and on budget all the time. And then the fifth category is relate, or networks, a relationship. How do you build networks? How do you build long-term relationships with partners, with clients, and alliances that work together with you? Your network is your net worth, they say. So the big part of your asset that you're building for yourself is your network of people that you know and people that trust you for bringing value to the world. Okay, that's what I have to say for now.
Thank you so much, Willem. Of course, Willem has talked about understanding the evolving market and positioning ourselves better towards that market. He also talked about the biggest trend, which will be knowing what is happening to the jobs, less of jobs will be available compared to what our parents had. He also talks about the likely different from what our parents had. Majority will be freelancers, gig workers, and entrepreneurs. He also talks about a very important point of preparing, creating, promoting, and also delivering. Thank you so much, Willem. Our next speaker will be Adesua Ekengbuda, the County Director, Education Global, Nigerian co-founder. We are asking, how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills needed to succeed in the future? Welcome, Adesua.
Okay. Please, am I audible first and foremostly? Can
Yes,
you
you
hear
are.
me
Yes,
clearly?
you are. Yes, please.
Okay. Please, apologies for not putting on my camera. I have a poor network, if you don't mind. Yeah. So I'm going to say some things. In doing this, I'm going to talk a bit about my story because when I was asked this question, when I got the question, I realized that this is like something that I went through. So I first and foremost want to appreciate Yalda for putting this wonderful initiative together. And I would say that for the African marketplace, it is currently changing fast. And there are some keys that I would say that are necessary for every youth to have. You have to learn to be adaptable. You have to be very intentional and you have to be proactive. So for the first thing now, for anybody or any youth that wants to launch into the market space, the first thing that I would advise is to discover yourself, self-discovery. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to talk about myself a bit. I started by reading microbiology. I never read education. I didn't read project management and all of that. I read microbiology. I worked with a government agency tagged Edo State Skills Development Agency. So Edo State is one of the states in Africa, state in Nigeria rather. And I was project assistant at first, and I moved on to project coordinator. And one thing that really helped me was that I started to ask questions like, what problems do I feel I can solve? Because it was a new space for me. What skills will I need to learn to be able to make this role much more uh, adaptable for me to like adjust myself to. And then I started to look for skills. I did coordinator coordination courses. I did I think from Coursera, I had to learn about the skills. So I would say that you have to know yourself. You have to be very, very intentional to know what you want, what purpose that you think that you want to achieve, what is driving you as a person. Then you have to skill up. You have to learn skills. And now bringing this up to EduTech, um, I would say it is about competence. So you have to, as an African youth, you have to learn to be competent. You have to competence is something that is built and it is built via capacity building. So you have to ensure that you are competent and you are relevant. And relevance is learning skills as you go. And in this current dispensation of 2025 and from the 2020s, AI is something that has been evolving and technology. And these days, in Nigeria, I'm going to use Nigeria as a case study. You see a lot of people that are scared to learn about artificial intelligence because they feel that artificial intelligence is here to take their job. So I am project coordinator for the Global AI Council. It's a council that is an NGO that is set up, and I'm like a part of it, and we do research. And when you ask young people, oh, what do you think about AI? Why don't you learn one AI skill? They tell you, oh no, AI is not. There's a religious. I don't know. I do not want to be. I do not want to involve religion, but some people just believe that AI is devilish. AI is, and I realized that during the process of interacting with these people, they need like to reinvent the information they have in their head. They need to learn and be able to understand that this skill is not here to take your place. Yeah, and as at the time I worked, as at now I work with EduTech, and I would say that we do 2D, 3D simulations, and we are trying to digitalize like the general traditional curriculum for education because we are realizing now that as the world is becoming tech driven, as the world is adopting AI, Africa is kind of like lagging behind, and we have to actually cross the path of leaving behind all of those traditional methods of learning and adapt quickly as it pertains to the artificial intelligence trend that is happening. And I would really encourage other people here, the Africans, to look into the educational sectors for their various countries and try to maybe put a word or two, or in any way you can, in any capacity, to make sure education is now becoming tech driven rather than the normal traditional means. And I will talk another. I think the last speaker spoke about building networks. I will talk about building networks. So in Africa here, I think everybody here can testify to the fact that you have a lot of people that have resumes. They have resumes that are packed with so much of the things they've done, skills they've gotten, how they graduated really well from school, and then they know nothing about networking. Networking is very, very key. Networking is really key, because if you realize sometimes the roles you get, or the job roles you get, or the volunteer roles you get, and all, you get it through networking. Most people do not understand that networking plays a great role. You can go for a conference and meet somebody that will refer you to your next employer, or that would open an opportunity for you. I've had experiences, and I would say that most people, if you talk to them about like joining, I think somebody spoke about Yali. So I'm a Yali member also, and you say, "Oh, come join Yali. Yali is going to expose you to a lot of opportunities, opportunity for mentorship. You get to meet people that can mentor you and all of that." They tend to shy away from these things, and it is not something that it is not something that we should look away from. It is something that we should encourage young people to do. Mentorship is key. Then I already talked about embracing tech skills. I cannot overemphasize embracing tech skills. It is very, very important. And you have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Whether you are doing a 9 to 5 job or you're an actual entrepreneur, I will advise you to have entrepreneurial skills. Now, one of the main key points I would take from being an entrepreneur is that an entrepreneur is a go-getter. An entrepreneur cannot say, because I'm tired today, I'm not going to do this thing. Even when it fails, you have to stand up. You have to say, oh, I'm going to get to do this thing again. You have to be very dedicated and proactive in whatsoever you are doing, whether you're doing a 9 to 5 job, or you're an entrepreneur, or you are an NGO owner, or you are an NPO owner, whatsoever it is, you have to be very, very intentional and proactive. And in this current dispensation, you have to have an Android phone, no matter how okay, so for most people, I know because of the economy and all, some people do not own like laptops, but at least you can get like an Android phone where you can have access to internet, no matter how minimal, to check for updates, to check for opportunities and all of that. Yeah, so I think every other speaker has spoken about all of the things that I would have spoken about. I just wanted to chip in this like one or two. And I would just say the African youth should believe in themselves too. We have to believe in ourselves. And if you're going out to the marketplace, if you're going, and I forgot to mention the market space, because when you mention market space, some people do not understand that the market space can be digital, the market space can be like a physical environment, or it can be hybrid. You have to understand which one works well for you and which one best suits your your situation. Yeah, so I think every other person has said every other thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adesua, for that insightful points to the youths. Of course, Adesua has talked about learning. The youth should learn to be adaptable. They should also discover themselves and know what they want, learn the problems, and find the solution. On top of it, skills is more important. She also talked about being competent and relevant, building networks, and top of all, believing in ourselves. Thank you so much, Desua, for that very important points. Our next speaker is Destiny Gladys Chaiga, founder and director at Hatma Creative Initiative Limited, a social entrepreneur, public speaker, poet, and spoken word artist from Uganda. Welcome, Destiny Gladys. We are asking, how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills needed to succeed in the future of work? Welcome.
Thank you so much. I hope I am very audible. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you're from. Here it's evening, and it's an honor for me to share with all of you from your different capacities. Well, as said, I'm Destiny. And in this particular question, I will introduce myself as a creative. I am a poet and spoken word artist. I'm also a puppeteer and actress. So, looking at the creative industry, really, right now, especially for Africa, it is rapidly growing and it is vibrant, as I can say, ranging not only poetry, but music, art, different forms of art is being appreciated, painting, dancing, different forms of dance, either traditional or a bit advanced. We can practically see that there is a rising up for Africans, especially the young people, rediscovering their talents and seeing how they can utilize them. However, amidst all this vibrance that we see in our areas, there is, especially for the younger generation of creatives, where the issue of limited funding, limited exposure still is a problem, and also a limited mentorship. But to throw it to back, you find that the ability also for our young people to easily accept mentorship is something that is in question. I happen to sit as one of the advisory members on the board of council for, I'm hearing echo, for the Artist Change Program under Global Fund for Women. I represent the southern part of Africa. And the time we have had to engage with different creatives to guide the organization on the awards for creatives, different things people are doing, you get to see that there's a lot going on. And the major point is the limited funding. Now, there is also competition that is very existing in the different capacities of work that we do. We cannot avoid competition, and we are grateful for competition. And in the face of all this, that our people are coming up as the creative economy is growing, and what can we do as creatives or as young people who are in desire of growing amidst the AI, amidst the industrial revolution, amidst the booming population, amidst all the good and the bad. One key thing, which is not so different from what other people need to take in their career path, just as creatives, is also seeing one, how do you brand yourself? How do you position yourself strategically to be able to take up the opportunities that come your way? Because we know that amidst all this, there are opportunities that come our way. The second point I can say is, which is very critical, is how can is the young people being able to have the key communication skills that are needed. Not only oral, which often comes in when they're performing and all that, which sometimes is good, but beyond that, how do you present yourself in terms of writing about yourself online? How do you do that? If you are meeting various categories of people, how do you present? Because when you are meeting diplomats or presidents or ambassadors, the way you present yourself may be quite different from how you are going to present yourself when you're meeting your fellow colleagues. So we need to see that in our quest to take advantage of the growing visibility, and in our quest to see we take up the opportunities that are available to us, it is very key for us to understand as young people, how do we present ourselves? Why am I saying this? I have had the opportunity of meeting, first of all, the president of my country on at least 3 occasions. And these opportunities came on short notice. But I had to present myself in a way that I would get another opportunity, either by him or by other people around, to be able to be called back for another chance to do something together. I have had also in Uganda the opportunity of presenting before the French ambassador and some UN dignitaries at different events. But the continuity of all these opportunity exists on how one presents themselves. So it is key for young people, especially in the creative industry, to not neglect how they present themselves. And on the aspect of skilling, well, it is of value that we identify opportunities that are available to skill ourselves. And when we talk of skilling, other than just improving on the talent or your creative art and all that, I mean, we need the money. We need the money. You cannot thrive in your creative work without the money. How do I learn some basic financial skills, budgeting? How do I negotiate my rates when opportunities come my way? You need to grow to a point where you're able to attach a certain degree of value. How do I source funding? How do I write for grants? Because these days there are quite a couple of grants that have been coming up for creatives, but also how do I collaborate? Collaboration is very key, and partnership in the business of creatives. And it is important to see that there is partnership that is being developed not only within your community or your country, but across the different borders. And with now the internet and the power of the digital world, we are one global village, really. We can have access to different platforms and different people, and they're able to partner with us. People even have virtual shows, virtual events. So it is key for us to try as much as possible to move with what is trending right now. And in terms of financing, I would encourage creatives to diversify their income streams. For a growing person, those especially who have not yet established themselves to a level that they are comfortable at, you'll find that the funding may not come easily. You need the money. So how can you diversify your income streams? Maybe you have a merchandise that you can sell, you have a product that you can sell, you have additional things that you can do. As a poet and spoken word artist, I do communications. I'm a communication consultant because that is my core area of career. And with that, I'm able to do quite a couple of things under that niche so that I have additional income. In case you have something else that you can earn from, I would say don't ditch it until you have established yourself for that talent or gift of yours to be able to earn for you the money that you need. So I can moderate sessions, I can do public speaking, I can do rapporteuring, I can do script writing, directing. So there are different things that as a creative, especially one who has not fully established themselves, that you need to look into to be able to earn and to be able to have a strong footing. I don't know how many minutes I have because I really talk a lot, but maybe I'll have another time to come in. For those that wish to have some courses, especially in the creative space, in terms of where can I learn extra skills, all the ones that the previous speakers have said are great. You can do that. But also the British Council has a course where they offer some skilling online course really for creatives, and also they have some funding sometimes that comes through. I would encourage those who are interested to look for the So Creative Africa Learning Program. So Creative Africa Learning Program, which has a couple of free courses, self-paced for creatives, so that they are able to really position themselves in a way that they can earn in this current economy of ours. So you'll find things about entrepreneurship, about so your social impact, really the policies that are involved, and much more. So I would encourage us to do that, to set ourselves apart and be able to match up to the future of work, especially for the creative economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our speaker, Destiny. Of course, Destiny has talked about the rise in African young people rediscovering their talents. She also talked about the limited funding and exposure, which are the challenges that African youths face. The competition, of course, which can be a nice thing. She also talked about the youth branding themselves and positioning themselves strategically, while also diversifying their income streams. Thank you so much, Destiny, for that. At this juncture, I would like to invite my co-host, Regiala, to take us through the next level. Welcome, Regiala.
All right. Thank you very much, Alan. That was very insightful and educative, and I learned a lot. Well, okay, Justice, I'm so sorry. Can you kindly answer the general question on how can young people best navigate today's evolving marketplace and develop the right skills to succeed in the future of work? We're so sorry for that. It was a mistake on our part. Justice.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Um, I hope everyone is well, and thank you so much for the invitation. I'm greeting everyone in here, through the continent and beyond. So first of all, I am going to first get to address the issue of understanding the gig economy or the micro enterprise space, right? And the number one thing that I can mention in this regard is that I am very happy about how I can see it being addressed, getting to call it the gig economy, because I believe this is one of the most important ways at which we, the young people, can be mobilized in order to put our minds in the right space, right? Because people normally get to consider the gig economy with certain ways like I'm a hustler, I'm a this, I'm a that. And of course, that particular naming of this particular economy on its own actually gets to give people a certain perception about how they actually get to approach their work, right? So what are we talking about when you're talking about the gig economy? So basically, this space is actually this kind of space whereby we are working online. Sometimes the people who are normally getting to work to get short-term contracts, it might be different through online media platforms, the likes of Fiverr, the likes of Upwork, the likes of all the freelancing profiles or platforms that we can think about. So this is more of a community where we are actually getting to do something about our lives as entrepreneurs, just to get to use the little skills that we have and all that, right? And beyond the digital scape, we still have people out there who are doing things like bow photography, the people who are doing things like sewing, or actually getting to do something that is directly beneficial for themselves, entrepreneurs in that regard, right? And that being the fact, we are seeing very well that we are having different challenges across African continent and across all the countries in this African continent, which is unemployment. And that significantly causes everyone to try to navigate what it is that they can be able to do themselves, right? And therefore, this gig economy is a home for most of us who might be in a situation whereby we literally not in a space to say we are employed and all that, right? So I'm particularly speaking from a landscape of somebody who is in this type of economy. And the most beautiful part about it is that you don't actually even need a degree to start. What you need is just clarity and consistency about whatever it is that you're doing, right? And then me getting to pass to the next part of the question, you also mentioned about how youth can identify gig and business opportunities. So in this regard, we are having different ways at which we get to approach this particular economy, like I have mentioned, right? And of course, there are different things that we're going to look into in order for us to be able to identify the opportunities, right? And I would like to refer back to some of the previous speakers. They have mentioned the importance of self-audit. What are you good at as an individual? What do people ask you to help them with? And getting to understand that is the first thing that can actually get to make you an active contributor into this particular economy. And still going in line with the fact that we have to observe the problems in our environment in order to make what we have significant. So that being the fact, I'm going to make it very clear that the ability to make a self-assessment of what it is that you can be able to do and what it is that you can be able to flourish in this particular gig economy is your it's the very same thing that will enable you to be able to do what you're doing right. So we have many ways at which we can be able to really get to be big contributors in this particular economy. Number one, the ability to invest in ourselves. This is something that most people actually get to undermine in many cases. We are having different platforms that actually get to provide things like short online learning courses or short learning programs, right? This is where you're going to be capitalizing yourself as somebody in the gig economy to say, if maybe let's say I'm a photographer. Yes, I'm a photographer, but what it is that I can be able to do to be an exceptional photographer, right? So we have different platforms like Digify Africa and the likes of other many platforms that the previous speakers have mentioned, that the people in this particular economy, which I also consider as an entrepreneurs, although they are still in a particular stage of development, should get to enrich themselves with and actually go deeper in learning and understanding the different parts of whatever it is that they want to get to flourish in business, right? So when we also talk about the digital world and how we can be able to flourish in the gig economy digitally, we have different platforms like I have mentioned. We have Fiverr, we have Upwork. Those are the freelancer profiles or platforms that can actually get to expose you to global gigs where you can be able to flourish and do the work that you are most good at in a way, right? So let's say, for instance, you're somebody who is really good at uh, designing logos, just as an example, because I mean, each and every company out there needs somebody who's going to work on its branding, and you know very well that you're good at branding. Instead of you getting to say, I'm going to be there doing word of mouth as part of my marketing, you can actually get to subscribe to these platforms and actually get to use your skills to serve the wider audience, right? And then we also have platforms like LinkedIn and everything, where most employers, because one of the things or the current trends that we are currently experiencing is that the rate at which the formal employment is going, it is significantly affected by many factors such as AI and all that. And therefore, many employers now depend mostly on this economy because there are people who are having very effective skills, yet alone they are not formally employed on a 9 to 5 job, who can be able to do the job at a lesser cost getting to pay somebody who is formally employed, right? So that's one thing that we need to actually get to ensure that we invest ourselves in. We also have platforms like Google Hustle Academy where they will offer you free training if you are in the African continent and all that, so that maybe even in the areas at which you're focusing on, you can be able to do what you're doing exceptionally well. So on a personal landscape, I consider the gig economy as a training ground for an entrepreneur who is looking forward to having a multi-million or whatever it is enterprise that will actually get to even outgrow the individual at some point, right? So I have already outlined the importance of investing in yourself as an individual if you're gonna grow into this gig economy. And one other thing that is very critically important is the ability to learn, to unlearn and to relearn. We have been programmed in a way as we kept on growing up. We have been taught in a way through university in a way. But the most significant difficulty that most people think or get to face is that they are unable to shift accordingly as the dynamics of the market gets to shift. So if you are able to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn, you will somehow get to significantly work effectively and ensure that you are relevant with the current trends, especially in the gig economy, because things keep shifting each and every day. And if I can tell you, a few years ago, we used to have people who can be there to do certain typewriting and everything and all that. But now we are having sort of things like AI. And of course, getting to say AI is going to take everything out is not what I'm saying for now. But what I'm saying is most jobs that used to be there at that particular time will now be insignificant because of the rate at which we are able to do them now. We can do them in a much cheaper way. Just in a type of 3 sentences, I can get everything that I want as good as I want it to be, right? And then as you are in the gig economy, the first thing that you need to understand is that you need to maybe get to look how it would be if you can offer services before products, right? Why am I saying this? Sometimes you do not need anything to offer services. You just need yourself and the skills that you have. And you significantly don't need to pay anything to offer the services that you have. I'm going to make a very typical example of how I managed to build a Pronet Business Solutions, and I'm going to be very short. I have realized that in South Africa, we are having problems. Number one, it's unemployment skyrocketing, right? And number two, everyone who is going to business is crying about funding, is crying about investments and all that. And it will be really being ignorant from my end to say I'm also going to join that queue. So what I did was to actually get to volunteer in an NGO. And when I went to the NGO, my aim was simple. I wanted to learn two critical things. I wanted to understand how it is to be able to write a grant proposal, right? And therefore, I was looking that in line with what it is in demand, because I'm sure everyone in here who's running a business is looking for an investment, is right looking for a what? For a grant proposal, a funding of some sort, of which we need to know how to get those, right? So that was my approach. I didn't have the money to say I'm going to run the business and this and this and this. I firstly looked on how I can be able to get the skill, which is going to volunteer in an NGO, learn how to write grants, learn how to develop proposals. And then out of that, I also got to be in line with getting to understand how I can be a facilitator, which is what I'm doing today as a corporate trainer. So getting to be aware that you need to learn something that you can be able to provide at a higher value in return. It's also very significantly important. And at some point, like I said, you can do that for free. Going out there and offering your time for something useful and meaningful than yourself would actually get to put you in a very long run in the gig economy. And then we are going to talk about the importance of collaboration. As an individual, they always say you can be able to do so much, but you cannot be able to attain so much at a single, right? You need to learn how to collaborate. You need to be out there to learn how to strategically network with different people. The previous speaker has already mentioned the importance of networking, which is very significantly important. In the gig economy, it's either somebody beats on your customers or you get to decide what happens with the customers. But what is significantly important is to be available when those people come, and is to be in a space where you are actually accessible as well as an entrepreneur. Be active on social media. We can't be saying we are having LinkedIn, yet along the only thing on LinkedIn is our qualifications and not making use of LinkedIn. We need to collaborate. We need to send the invitations, and not for the sake of getting to improve our mutual friends, but for making use and knocking to those doors and ensuring that we are knocking to the relevant people. We are pitching, and believe me, for the longest time, you're going to experience silence and you're going to experience no response at all. But it is consistency that is going to keep you moving. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the last part of it. At some point, as an entrepreneur, that is where you actually get to start in the gig economy. But as you keep envisioning, as you keep enhancing your skill, you will see that at some point there is a need for you to actually get to make a bolder step rather than just getting to have what you need for that particular moment or getting to have passive income. You'll be at a point whereby you need to make it sustainable and something really bigger. So what you'll need to do next is to consider registering your business and getting the documentations right. If you're in South Africa or any other country, your tax number is important, your bank account to start monitoring your financial discipline, your ID and the basic business profile. Those are some of the important things that you need. Then after you have been in that particular stage where you realize that you need to take yourself seriously, which is registering the company, that is when I can say you are now ready, you have prepared, yet there's still a very long way to go. And then that is when you can consider registering your company. And then what happens after that, I think, can be discussed in the next webinar on how we can be able to sustain small businesses and all that. But apart from everything and above everything, preparation plus awareness will be equaling to what? To opportunity. We cannot keep looking for opportunities that we are not yet ready to be able to fulfill them. We cannot keep looking for jobs yet we are unemployable. Self-investment is the best thing you can ever give to yourself. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, thank you very much, Justice. That was very insightful and I learned a lot from it. So to recap, I think what you mentioned that really stuck with me was the fact that you said you don't have to have a degree you don't have to have a degree, you just have to be consistent and clear with what you want to do. So that was really insightful. And also how youths can get opportunities in the gig economy, and that's by self-auditing, understanding yourself, collaborating, ability to collaborate, ability to learn and relearn, observing our problems and tailoring your skills to solve those problems. So thank you very much, Justice. That was very insightful. So moving on to the speaker questions. Bente, this question is for you. What financial and career planning habits should young people adopt early to build long-term success? Thank you.
Thank you for that. So I'm gonna limit this really to my top 5, and my first one is really budget rentlessly and save consistently. This is something my grandfather actually gave me. So when I started working and got my first income, I really had like, okay, this is obviously my income, these are my costs, this is what I can spend for what. There were some guidelines somebody was giving me, this is your income, you should pay only X% on rent, you should save X%, and so on. But I think the crux here is really have a big clarity about when it comes to, like I said, financial habits, to what is coming in, what is a must going out, like what are your really hard facts, fixed cost, and then save a bit, and then also have fun a bit, right? Because yeah, life is life, and life is there for the living. So that's number one. The other one is really on career goals, also set clear goals early. And I'm fully aware that sometimes life is changing and life is quick, and we are changing as people. I mean, look at me. I was when I was 24, I was building a car wash chain here in Kenya. Now I'm 30, what am I now? 38, and I'm running an insurtech. So things are changing. And when I'm speaking about career goals, it's not necessarily really what you do, but where you as a person want to go. Yeah. And what do you need to do for that? So all I'm saying is, when you're coming into the job market, or when you're applying, or when you're looking for a responsibility, a challenge, whatsoever, don't just look for a job. Yeah. Understand where a job will bring you in the future. and where it will bring you should ideally be your long-term goal. So that's number 2. And number 3 is, yeah, monetize very early. Good at. Yeah, that's a stupid example now, but my daughter is already now selling cake in the neighborhood. She's a very good baker, so who wants some cake can buy some cake. But jokes aside, I think there is already, when you're a student or when you're just entering the job market, there's already a lot of talents you have which you can monetize, right? This can really go more from the tech tools, like in terms of graphic design. I hear a lot of actually my mentees doing now things in graphic design and writing, but it can also be something like, to be honest, like braiding hair, farming, teaching. I don't know, right? When I was a student, I was teaching pupils in school to make some early money. So the advice here is really turn skills into income very early, because even informally, it exposes you to business, and that builds confidence, that builds customer insight. Yeah, I really learned through that. You're gonna make money when you listen to what the clients need. Yeah, and even small projects like that can teach you that very early on. And then number 4 is really financial literacy. Yeah. Understand money, understand how mobile loans work, how expensive they are, what is a compound interest, and why pension matters, etc., etc. I mean, financial literacy, my friends, is so important, and it never stops. It always changes. So attend classes, attend courses. I saw a lot of people here from Kenya. Robert from Abujani is doing an amazing job with his Abujani classes, and but really poor financial choices in the 20s can really delay wealth building for decades. Yeah. And guys, you're only going to have so many years to work, right? So this is really one of my biggest advices. I don't know if somebody from Abujani is here, but financial literacy, I'm a big supporter of that. And again, here in Kenya, Abujani is a good partner, but I'm sure there's also other. And then last but not least, network. And that not just with your friends. Yeah, it's somebody else. I think William said it. Your network is your net worth, and I couldn't agree more. And here I really would like to challenge people, network across generations and also borders, because that's really gonna make it or break it. And this is, yes, about creating relationships, but then also nurturing it. It's not just enough to have like one meeting. You really need to go. I believe in going deep. And how can you do that? You're joining, people spoke about Yali, but join these kind of networks and groups, partnerships, etc. Because ultimately in life, ultimately in business, your network will actually carry you through good, but also through bad times. And so, yeah, I cannot agree more. Your network is your net worth. So to summarize this again, my top 5: budget, yeah, and save. Then set clear career goals. Monetize what you're already good at. Financial literacy and network. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ben. That was so insightful. So to recap, we've recapped already, but to recap: budget, save, and also have fun. Set career goals early. Monetize what you're good at very early. Monetize your skills very early. Be financially literate and also network. Thank you very much. Moving on to the next person. Willem, this question is for you. So you've already talked about how what employers look for when hiring young professionals today, and how candidates can showcase their skills beyond academic degrees. But I'd like you to kindly reiterate on key takeaways. Thank you.
Okay, so looking at what employers are looking for, we at Studium Alliance, we're actually working a lot with industries and industry representatives, and we basically help universities to align what they teach with what industries want. Just recently, for example, we ran a global workshop with the top global brands in supply chain and logistics, and asked those employer representatives, what is it that you look for in graduates that and what is it that you are complaining about when you say, oh, we have a skills gap? I'm sure you've all heard this dichotomy that on the one hand, employers are saying, oh, we're suffering from a skills gap. And on the other hand, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of graduates sitting on the bench and not being employed. So we make it our business to try and figure out what is going on here. What are the skills that employers say they need that they are not getting from higher education institutions? So I want to give you a little bit of a feel of what those skills are that typically come out in these conversations. So the first and most consistent skill was mentioned, I think, a couple of times already by some of my other panelists, and that is the ability to learn. I will use a different term. I will call it curiosity. Because when we say ability to learn, it can mean a lot of things. It's, do you have study skills, or do you know how to go to Udemy and enroll for a course and so on? But I want to narrow it down to say it is about curiosity. And the way employers want to see that curiosity is in asking questions. And just as a practical example, when you go to an interview, those interviewees or those candidates that go to an interview and ask good questions quite often make a better impression than those that are going to the interview and trying to show how smart and clever they are. So asking great questions is a very, very good skill. In fact, I've over many years made this let's call it a core skill for my sales team as well. So in sales is not about pitching a product and telling clients why they should buy the product and what the features of the product does. The first thing in sales is asking questions. So curiosity, be genuinely curious about learning things, learning about clients, learning about marketing, learning about the market, learning about the potential employers, learning about industries and so on. Just constantly be curious. That's the number one thing employers are looking for and that they value when they interact with potential employees. The next one, of course, is what we nowadays we've evolved to call this independent productivity. Independent productivity means your ability to get things done fast without supervision. Now, if you put yourself in the shoes of an average employer, let's take a big employer. Let's say you are HSBC Bank, and you are interviewing for financial consultants. You want to hire people who are going to come into the workplace and can independently achieve goals without somebody looking over their shoulders and showing them how to write an email or showing them how to create a calendar or send out a calendar item. Stupid things like how to get the time zones right if you're working across different time zones. So these are very practical productivity things. Be independently productive. It means computer skills, it means AI skills, and I promised earlier that we'll come to AI skills. So when we ask employers, what AI skills do you need people to have? Of course, we're not even talking about technical IT people who need to do large language models or program or train large language models or code or whatever. We're talking about the average professional, whether that's an accountant or medical practitioner or an HR practitioner or a journalist, whatever. all of us need AI skills. And if we ask employers, what do you mean by those AI skills? Which AI skills do you want us to have? The answer constantly comes back to independent productivity. How can you use AI, whether that's ChatGPT or Gemini, to get things done fast and independently without somebody having to spoon feed you? So I've given you two, let's say, high priority skills that employers are asking for. I'll share one more, which I think is probably quite useful, and that is about networking again. So, and I want to refine networking a little bit and help you to shape a very specific skill. And that skill is about being of value to somebody, because that's how you build a network. You know, everybody says, "Oh, okay, you have to network, you have to network." Networking is not only about going to an event and introducing yourself and telling people what you do and hoping that they will come back one day and because you gave them your business card. Networking is having a conversation with people all the time, being curious about what that other person is doing, and go with the intent to find something useful that you can do for that person. Because when you create value and you add value, that person is more likely to want to help and support you in future. So don't network with the intent to try and get something. Network with the intent to try and find an opportunity to offer something. The more you find an opportunity to offer something of value for free without somebody expecting, is the more you will build trust and loyalty and a valuable network that will provide returns for you in your career. Okay, I will leave with those three skills.
All right, thank you very much, Willem. So to recap, you talked about like the skills that you need and they are being curious. And I think this has been mentioned a lot on this webinar. So you have to be able to learn. Like the marketplace is somewhere that is very dynamic. So you have to be able to learn and relearn and change the things that you already know, because things change every day. So the next thing is that we have to be independently productive. You don't want to be someone that people always have to micromanage. You have to learn how to take initiatives yourself and also be productive. And I think I believe the third one is networking. So what he said that particularly stuck with me was the fact that it's not just about introducing yourself, going to an event and introducing yourself. You have to be of value to this person, and you have to also be curious about what they do and not just want to take and take and take. You also have to give too. So thank you very much, Willem. And moving on to the next question is for Janisha, and that is, how can peer-led or youth-led initiatives drive skill development and create new opportunities for others? Thank you, Janisha.
The Communications Authority Director General David Mugonya accused the media of celebrating violence against.
Please, Janisha, you can unmute.
I'm sorry for that. Thank you for the question. So, according to UNDP report 2022, Africa is home to the most youthful population in the world. But while this presents an immense opportunity, many of our young people are unemployed, underskilled, or underserved. So, in this fast evolving global economy, waiting for institutions to catch up is not an option. That's why peer-led and youth-led initiatives are so critical. They are not just filling the gaps left by traditional system, but they are redesigning the future skills development and opportunity creation. So across Africa, traditional educational system often lag behind the demand of the modern job market. Youth are rising to this challenge by creating platforms that develop skills through peer learning, mentorship, innovation, and collaboration. So to ensure youth in Africa don't just survive but thrive, we must support and expand youth-led initiatives that equip other people with future-ready skills, be it in tech, leadership, sustainability, or entrepreneurship. So let's take up the example of YADA. It is active in almost over 20 countries, and it is led by youth and builds skills through summits, webinars, training in entrepreneurship, leadership, and policy engagement. So I have been to the YADA I bootcamp last year, and it equips you with business modeling, pitch development, bringing ideas, and as well as investment readiness. It also connects participants to different stakeholders, and this is how networking grows. YADA also conducted the AFCFTH root course, which was very insightful. A second example I would say about the YALI. So it is an initiative launched by the US government where YALI provide peer-led networking and regional training in leadership, civic engagement, and public management. So many alumni go on to train others, multiplying the impact across thousands of communities. For example, myself, as a YALI alumni in Mauritius, so I train people in my locality on how to build a home garden, simple hydroponics, aquaponic, composting, and rain harvesting techniques, even as part of my family agricultural business. So the third one, I would go on to say about the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which empowers young leaders who return home to train, helps mentor youth, and also start impactful projects. There's also the Amazon Leadership Initiative, which is funded by Young Women for Young Women, and this initiative provides mentorship, leadership, and boot camps to empower girls in underserved communities. It encourages peer mentorship and build confidence and life skills for employment and entrepreneurship. There are other such programs such as the Supernova Foundation, which is an international mentoring program for women in physics especially. The European Union in your country, in some countries they are not well established, but in others there are. There's GCI, there's Rotary Cup, and you can also join any other youth-led initiative, make an impact in your society. Bring that positive. In Mauritius, sir, there's the AfriTech Fellowship Program. I don't see any participant from my country here, but there is an AfriTech Fellowship Program, which is a peer-led fellowship to empower women in STEM. So I was a fellow in 2023, and I have seen firsthand how we train and inspire other youth in coding, GRS, innovation, and balance. The program also includes public speaking opportunities like AfriTech Connect, where young leaders share knowledge with peers across Africa. And for the European Union, as a youth ambassador, I collaborate with other youth to bridge policy and grassroots realities. So we act as youth voices in policy dialogues while encouraging peers to become community leaders and change makers. There are other such NGOs like Ensemble Maurice, among others. So why normally peer-led initiative work? Well, this is because it is, first of all, it is relatable. Youth trust and connect more with peers who have shared similar challenges. Secondly, is decentralized. Young people can act fast and it is multiplicative. As you can see that I was trained for YALI, for YADA, and among others, such a leadership program. So I have trained many people in my locality, be it my friend, my colleagues, my family, my sibling. So empowering all these people make a great impact in the society. It is actually exponential. And these initiatives foster confidence, collaboration, and community impact, which are normally key for real-world success. And I would go on to say, to conclude about the Youth for Youth. So when youth lead, we don't just build skills, we build movement, we open doors for others, foster inclusion, and develop solutions tailored to our realities, whether through coding classes, clean energy, boot camps, leadership summit, or digital storytelling, peer-led initiative, or transforming Africa one skill at a time. To my fellow young change makers, don't wait for change. Be the reason someone else learns, grows, and lead. Because when you rise together, we create a continent that thrives together. And this aligns with what our fellow colleague William just said, that we need to do something for something of value to our community and society. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you very much, Janisha. To recap, Janisha talked about joining leadership, youth-led initiatives to not only build our skills and to make impact in our societies, but also to create a movement and to develop new opportunities for other youths. So thank you very much, Janisha. Moving to the next person. Kikeli, this question is for you. What tools or platforms exist to help young people learn practical job-ready skills from anywhere? I know you've talked about this before and you've made mention of the platforms, but can you kindly just reiterate and tell us how to actually effectively utilize these platforms? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. And I loved how you put my question, right? That how to effectively use these platforms and tools. It means that there is a possibility that you can find yourself having access to numerous tools and various opportunities, and you may not be able to get the best out of them, or you may not be able to effectively use them. How does this happen? The first step of being able to effectively use some of these platforms and tools is to, first of all, give yourself a sense of direction. What am I going into? What do I mean by that? These days, we have a situation where every young person applies for any opportunity they want, goes into any job market that they see just because they are desperate. That is the first thing I want you to avoid if you want to effectively use various platforms and opportunities available. If you want to go into health, focus on it. Like I said, regardless of the industry you find yourself in, there or regardless of the background that you have, there is a specific industry that you can focus on. If you are into economics, you can pick one of the SDGs and align yourself clearly with it. This will prevent someone who studied public health from applying for jobs in, let's say, let's say a job in maybe TVET, when clearly there's not that alignment, and you end up with losing track of what you want to do. Now, so in conclusion, the first thing is what? Giving yourself the sense of direction. After you've been able to give yourself that sense of direction and decided on your SDG and ESG principles that you really want to align or build your career path in, then you can then go close to these tools. So number one, like I said, if there's one tool that cuts across all industries, it is project management. These days, project management is a big deal, and this is one of the key skills that almost every organization that is recruiting, or as an entrepreneur that is attempting to make success in a particular industry, you must have. When it comes to the tools like Hub for Africa, it is usually good for persons who have plans of what, working in places like Europe or expanding their businesses from Africa to Europe. Why am I saying this? These are organizations that these platforms have been built with the Euro-African focus. So, for example, with respect to Hub for Africa, persons looking to sharpen their skills in project management in Africa and Europe will be able to have all those things over there. When it comes to people who have interest in maybe Africa and Canada, the reason why I'm focusing on Africa and other countries is these days we are trying to make the whole world a very small place. So you cannot just focus on sharpening skills or accessing tools that are just focused on the African settings. So for example, when you take the Donning Deshpande Queen's Innovation Center platform, this is readily available where almost anybody, just like one of the speakers said, go into entrepreneurship or focus on your personal branding. They have this neat platform where all of you can access. The platform is called the DDQIC platform, which is readily available. You'll be able to sharpen your project management skills, business development skills, grant writing, and so on and so forth. And another good thing is when you are done with some of their courses and training modules whatsoever, you get certificates, and even get funding opportunities attached to it. I also mentioned that of Star Africa Germany. Now, how do you effectively make use of Star Africa Germany? Once you have that sense of direction, it can be in climate change, Tibet, health, whatsoever, it becomes prudent that you need to be able to come up with a problem-solving idea or a need-providing idea. What do I mean by that? If I give you maybe grants writing skills, you can't use it to do anything if you have no interest in accessing grants. If you want to access grants, obviously the grant or funding must be used for something. It can be for a non-profit project, or it can be for expanding a particular business. Therefore, it is necessary to know what problem in society do I have dreams or plans of solving. If I'm planning on working for another organization, what problem in that organization do I have plans of solving? Maybe I want to sharpen my skills in data analytics for those of us on this call. If you want to sharpen your skills in data analytics, what is the end goal? Is it that you want to be able to help in giving proper forecasting? There is something that you want to be able to do. So when you have identified a problem that you want to solve, or a need that you want to provide for society or for organizations, then it becomes easy to focus on key things in these platforms like the Star Africa Germany platform, where there is business development school toolkits and training. There's prototyping toolkits and also training available. So based on the problem and the need you want to solve, you'll be able to focus on one very one. Think about it this way. You can't know it all, and you can never be perfect at everything. There is always going to be one thing that you are going to be good at. A few people have the ability to be good at multiple things. But there is always going to be that one key thing that when you master, it is going to make you different. And some people find it difficult to find that niche to make use of these tools that I'm mentioning. So for you to be able to find sometimes the niche and the kind of tool that you want to focus on, you can just look at what the problem or the need that you are capable of giving to society. So when you do that, it becomes easier to make use of these platforms. So when you sharpen your skills in, let's say, data analytics through, let's say, the Azubi Africa platform, where when you are done with their trainings, they will take you to Germany fully funded. It becomes easy to say that, okay, I will be differentiating myself not just with my skills that I've acquired, but I'll use that skill that I've acquired to help improve in forecasting for organizations, or to help organizations to make proper decisions or for themselves. For those of you who will be going into entrepreneurship, let's say when you make use of the Dunning-Deshpande Queen's University platform that I mentioned called the DDQIC platform, it becomes easier to say that, okay, maybe I'm into a fashion business, maybe sustainable fashion. I've been recycling waste to make clothes. Because this is the problem that I'm trying to solve, I am going to sharpen my skills in terms of what climate entrepreneurship. Through this, you will realize that you will be able to come out and effectively use it, so that you don't go wasting your time on, just basically trying to gather all sorts of tools, and at the end of the day, we don't know what you are going to do. So to sum it up, what I want our listeners to pay attention to is, first of all, like I mentioned, you first of all need to align yourself or find interest in the SDGs and the ESG and align yourself properly, because that's the new market that has come. After you've been able to identify what you really want to align with, it becomes prudent to have a sense of direction, so that today you are not jumping from health, then before you realize we see you in Tibet, tomorrow we are seeing you in climate change. When you keep doing that, you realize that you will not be able to progress. You end up in what we call pilotitis. The next thing you then begin to do is, what niche am I trying to find myself, or what uniqueness am I trying to get me come on board with? It could be community engagement, it could be grant writing, it could be innovation development, it could be business development, and so on and so forth. If you can't find it within your heart, as I always say it, then look at the problems in society, or look at the problems faced by various organizations. When you see this problem, then you then make use of these tools to solve this problem, and you'll be able to become what? Effective. So let's take that you go for an interview. I'm an HR. Everybody has a first class, have all sorts of degrees, has all sorts of qualifications, just like most of my speakers mentioned. These platforms they've all mentioned, you realize that it is easy and a lot of people are accessing it. Where you then become to be unique is what? One, your sense of what? Direction, your uniqueness being focused on what? The problems or the needs that you are providing. That, okay, look, all my competitors here for this interview are coming with project management skills, but I add data analytics, and where it is going to be effective is how I'll use it to help you to make informed decisions in your organizations. And yeah, so in case if you miss the platform, look out for DDQIC platform, Star Africa, Germany, Africa Startup. It's online. They have a community platform. UNOS Germany. For those of you trying to do climate entrepreneurship, both for Africa and Europe, you can make use of it. Hub for Africa, for persons who want to establish businesses in Africa and still get funding from abroad, you can make use of it. There is also Synetium Canada. So Synetium is for persons who are focused on non-profit, who want to create jobs. So if you're on this call, you want to create jobs for companies or for your own business entities, you can make use of the Synetium Canada platform to sharpen your skills, access funding and grants to go ahead and really make impacts in society. Thank you. I hope I did not exceed my time on that.
Thank you very much, Kikeli. That was very insightful. So, to recap, I think you talked about giving yourself direction. That's very important. You should not be someone that anything goes, anything you bring, I will do it. You should not be that kind of person. And when you identify this direction, then you can now choose your SDG and ESG. And when you identify this problem that you want to solve, you also have to sharpen your skills to stand out and be unique from everyone else. So thank you very much, Kikeli. Moving on, I would like to call on Alan to go ahead with the rest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Regiela, for that. I would like to direct my question to Destiny Gladys Shiger to explain to us how creatives can turn their talents into sustainable income streams and what skills or habits help them thrive. Please welcome Destiny.
Thank you so much for that question. Well, I'm going to use my personal experiences because I believe it's better to share from a lived experience than just from everywhere. In terms of how creatives, let me just read that question again. How creatives can turn their talents into sustainable income streams. Yes, earlier on I'd hinted on the need for us to have different income streams. But the question is, how can these income streams be sustained? I would encourage is, first of all, know your niche, know the kind of people that you are selling your art to, your creativity to. And from there, you're able to at least understand the possibility of a sustainable income. Because it is from your network, it's from your fan base, both within your community, physical and online, that you're able to cultivate the kind of people that will be able to consume your work in the different forms. Now, where are those different things that you can do? For those in, let me say, poetry, music, spoken word, dance, beyond just the performing of your work, it would be key for you to also have some other tangible products that you can sell. Maybe you have music albums, you have EPs, you have merchandise, maybe caps, shirts, wristbands, different kind of merchandise that you know that your audience or your community is able to buy or invest in, so that you can earn from that. Now, for me, one thing that I realized I can do more in terms of my art as a poet is, one, I do organize shows in partnership with other people, and those shows are poetry shows charge to come and enjoy. Also, I've ventured into performing at corporate events, and right now my newest one that I really love is performing at weddings. So with all that, plus your branded items, where you have also books that you can, anthologies or poetry collections, or musical albums or art collections. Importantly, adding a bit of creativity to all that you are doing to be able to beat the competition is key, because with monotony, really, people really feel, if everything is the same, if it is something you're selling, looking at your community or the people you're selling it to, how can you add value to it to be able to increase on that particular income stream that you are having? And even earlier on, I had said that you find that, especially for us, the young creatives, you may be able or skilled to do more things beyond just that one creative venture that you have. Is it maybe marketing? Is it doing some freelancing online? Is it maybe managing social media for some other people or company? Is it events moderation? What is that extra thing that you can do beyond your talent? If you feel you're at a point where the income that the talent is giving you has not yet reached a more sustainable level, that's where I say that personally, I mentor some young people, so I get to be invited to schools to speak about entrepreneurship and career development in higher institutions of learning. And I also get sometimes to moderate events. I also get to do different communication related work for different organizations as a communication consultant. Now, I love poetry. I love my work. But at a point where I feel I need more money for different things and I cannot yet reliably benchmark or need to get for me the amount of money I need, I have to diversify my income streams to be able to earn more, to be able to live, to be able to invest actually in it, to be able to invest in the art. So I would encourage the young people, the creatives, to really look at different things that they feel they can start with. And in terms of how to thrive in the industry, collaboration, partnership, you may really not thrive. You cannot thrive being a sole, just on your own. Most of these things require partnership and collaboration with those that have gone ahead of you, but also with other time, resources, advice into this. The other key thing that I would say in terms of what you need, habits or skills, is seek opportunity to be mentored. Seek opportunity to be mentored. I don't know how I can really, really, really bring that home. Most times sometimes young people are in this state where they feel they really know it all, or they are at that level. But if you're humble enough, you'll be able to seek somebody who has gone ahead of you and is able to see more into you, more into your talent, and is able to bring that out, because a mentor sees what is in you and is able to guide you to bring that beyond what you see in yourself. If we are able to get such people, personally, I have a mentor whose guidance I've been seeking on various things. And one of the key things she has always encouraged me is, Destiny, go for it. Go for it. I remember this year, my initiative, Hatma Creative Initiative, is new. And we have two things that we do. One is use different art forms to promote different social issues in our communities. And this year we had a poetry production where it was 3 countries on one stage, and Uganda was hosting the first edition of that event. Kenya, South Sudan, and Uganda, there are different people came from the different countries in terms of the performance. And I remember as the key organizer, I was a bit concerned at how people turn up. So she told me that, you know what? She gave the example of the late former president, Jimmy Carter, how he started his campaigns the first time he was running for presidency, and only 5 people turned up. So she told me that, and she's like, go for it. Just do your best and leave the rest. It kind of encouraged me. So young people need to develop that kind of thick skin to go where they wish to go, regardless of the few people that will come. With consistency, we are able to build the brands, we are able to build the fan base, we are able to build the kind of money or income streams that we need. But start. I keep telling myself as well, there are specific things that each year I wish to achieve. I have to look for the opportunities and do. The other thing that will help, habits that will help us to thrive in this creative economy, or even the bigger aspect of life, is being a quick thinker and taking actions, correct actions. But if it backfires, still you learn something from it. Why am I saying quick thinking? There are many opportunities that come at a point where you may not have the liberty to think so much to be able to accept. And for a growing creative, being able to think fast, to take opportunities that come your way is very key to help you not miss out on what comes your way. Earlier on, I said that I am one of the advisory council members on the board for the Artists Change Makers Program and the Global Fund for Women. That opportunity came through nominations. And when I was asked by somebody, like, there's this opportunity, we wish to nominate you for it, I just said yes. Yes, nominate me. Then afterward, I went and did the research about it and provided my profile of what I do, what I have been able to do, including mentoring poets in performance, the awards I've been able to get, been able to stand on. So if it was a moment of hesitation, not acting fast enough, you would miss that opportunity. It is that same quick thinking and fast action that enabled me to be able to go and have an exchange program in Norway for school, because right now I'm in the process of completing my master's in strategic communication at Uganda Christian University. So I just said, when my supervisor asked me, there's opportunity to go and study for almost a year, this, send us your profile in less than 30 minutes. I was coming back from Bagamoyo International Cultural Festival in Tanzania, and immediately I reached, before even anything else, I looked for my CV, my resume, and now this drives me to the point. The other habit that creatives need is having a profile of who you are as a creative, of what you have been able to do, of your achievements. Have it on standby. I mean, have it on standby anytime, because you never know where opportunities will find you. But it's also good to have the digital profile, the different platforms where you're able to professionally tell the world what you do, how you do it. It could be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn, it could be TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, X, whichever platform that you feel you're able to reach people and they're able to engage with you. Now, just quickly, what are the other things which you really need in terms of maybe as a creative, which is not really different from what most people have talked of, even volunteering, by the way. For the different aspects which you wish to learn to perfect, being able to volunteer your skill sets to be able to learn will be very, very, very key. There's this quote that I like by James Corbett. He says that only those who have patience to do simple things perfectly ever acquire the skills to do difficult things easily. You can build the patience to do those simple things perfectly through volunteering, through doing the things that you need to do over and over again, so that patience for growth, knowing that your breakthrough can come anytime, but even if it does not come tomorrow, you're able to go back and perfect that thing that you're supposed to do until you become better and better at it. In this current job market, or especially the digital world, of course, it is key for us to also skill ourselves in the different things that are creative. You are seeing others take opportunities, skill themselves, even the basics of communication skills or financial literacy skills, digital literacy skills. You need them as well. You need them as well. Even if you grow to a point where there are people managing your brand, you need to know that what they are doing on your behalf is the correct thing, not just relegating everything to them and leaving everything there for without you knowing. So those are some of the things that I can say. And for those that don't know how to represent themselves, please, 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 please take time to master how to speak to people, how to network, how to present yourself, how to tell the world who you are, what you do in order to help you grow, in order to help you thrive. But importantly, take action, because without action, all these things that we have spoken will remain beautiful thoughts and reflections and summaries. But without you taking the first action towards your dreams, all will just remain a fantasy. So to all the creatives, I don't know how many are in this call, but those that will also listen to this recording, let nobody tell you that because you are fully a creative in your niche, you are not as valuable as any other person who is maybe doing a business something, or is into coding, is into management, or all those different career paths. Just because you are creative does not mean you are less of anything in this world. Creativity is the color that the world misses most, because it is that spice that all the different aspects of life needs. So thrive in your creativity, grow in it, nurture it, let the world know it. And as you grow, you'll experience the best days of your financial increase and thriving. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Destiny. That was one of our speakers, Destiny, talking about the importance of knowing your niche. Organizing shows, importance of partnerships, doing partnerships with others. Adding creativity to beat competitors, seeking opportunities to be mentored, uh, being a quick thinker, taking action, and also volunteering. Thank you so much, Destiny, for that. At this juncture, I would like to ask our audience to write their questions in the chat. Remember to include your name and country. Thank you. Include your name and country. So our next speaker is Hamilton Conford. Please, Hamilton, take us through what are some of the in-demand tech skills that young people should focus on today, and how they can access free or low-cost platforms to learn them. Welcome, Hamilton. Hamilton, if you can hear me, please unmute. Hamilton, you can please unmute so that we can get you clearly.
I am unmuted. I don't know.
Oh,
Can you hear
thank
me?
you. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I thought perhaps that the time was up, so I wouldn't speak, but just to take us through this. Yeah, this question is something that really is close to my heart. Actually, for those who know me outside this platform that we are in right now. So, um, I happen to have a tech firm that I co-founded almost 3 years ago now, and I have been behind, apart from even within the company, I have been behind several um, innovative projects that I'm seeing are being used perhaps all over the African continent. And I think this question then talks about something that people really need to understand. So like you find that across, for instance, across the products that I've built, I've seen a recurring truth that really we don't have a lack of ambition in Africa. I'm thankful that this is was kind of tailored to the African market, and we have a skill gap. You know, the skill gap that we have. The beautiful thing is, it is solvable. And just to break down on the specifics that I was asked. So one of the skills that perhaps someone who is interested in tech should consider having is to be a full stack and a mobile developer, or full stack and mobile development. That would mean you have to get conversant with languages like Dart or Flutter, um, React, both React, no, the React JS, React Native, and also Python. And perhaps if you'd ask why, I'd tell you because apps are majorly the new roads and bridges. So I have built several of them, and we've always needed developers uh, with every other team that I've worked with. So you can't go wrong, or you can't miss a gig if you're good. That is, if you're good at full stack and mobile development. The only problem is these days, perhaps we have a lot of developers by name, but then when you put them down to really work now, uh, output becomes an issue. But then these skills can be gotten from sites like Free Code Camp. I think that is the best known one. There's the Odin project is also providing some tutorials there. Then there's CS50 on EDX. So if you get to those sites, then you can have to get to interact with skills that with tutorials that can help you acquire such skills. Another thing in tech that I'm glad that is really growing these days exponentially is data science and AI. That you'll need tools like Python, the Jupyter notebooks, the Power BI, etc., etc. Um, it is something essential, and it's something that you'd also not lack to pay rent with if you're good, because every government and every enterprise wants to leverage their data. But then the only problem is most of the people perhaps they have within lack um, the modern tools or the modern techniques to leverage this data. So if you acquire such skills, if you acquire relevant skills in data science and AI fundamentals, then you're going to solve a problem that it's where now most people are rushing to. And I think you'll not be late enough uh, uh, to acquire that skill and perhaps to get a job out of that. And So platforms like Google's data analytics course is a good one you can start with. Then there's one by IBM. It's on Coursera. I think it's IBM Data Science. And Kaggle for projects also has a very good tutorials for the same. Another thing is about cloud and DevOps. And why would I recommend this? It's because most systems today, like the ones that we've built at Ubuntu Labs, uh, our proprietary products and those that we build for clients really need to scale securely, and not just securely but efficiently. And the best way to do this is through cloud. So cloud becomes a compulsory or a mandatory component in IT infrastructure, and you can never say that it's an option. So having it as a skill that you've specialized in will also, at the end of the day, give you something, and you can get skills, very quality skills from AWS Academy, Microsoft Learn, Cloud Skills Boost, and there are several others. I'm just trying to highlight a few that perhaps you can interact with. Another, which is very, very important, especially in the current world we are living in, is cybersecurity. Because when we digitize every other product that we have in the ecosystems, then we have to be aware that there are breaches. For instance, when you're building a hospital, you're digitizing hospitals, or you're digitizing money systems, breaches are things that you have to be aware of. So they become a threat to the life and the livelihoods of these projects. So mitigating them, or uh, yeah, the mitigation, and being ready enough to curb any other vulnerability that might come through by ensuring that you are your cybersecurity ready, then becomes very vital. And one of the good sites that you can try to leverage your skills on is Try Hack Me, and um, there's open security training. There's also Cybrary. Those are just to mention a few that you can find very good quality cybersecurity details. Another one, and the last one that I'll mention, though there are several, is Web3 and blockchain. I know most of the people, when you talk about blockchain, they'll think about cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrency is a branch in blockchain. So, for instance, I have been involved in building coins, crypto coins, whichever thing you might think of in that entails blockchain and everything to do with Web3. I've been privileged enough to get my hands in a few projects to do that. And young people really need to learn these things that we talk about when they hear those who perhaps are experienced in this, talking about things to do with solidity, smart contracts, tokenomics. You need to understand these things. You need to do these things. You need to have hands-on experience, and not just as a hype, really, but as tools of sovereignty. Because at the end of the day, the good thing with blockchain, and speaking with an African audience majorly, the good thing that blockchain and Web3 came with is security and transparency. And this is something that, I'm sorry to say, most of our leaders, especially the political class, is very, very much shy of. So we have a tool that we can use to at least reduce theft, mismanagement, and any other thing, and ensure we build that trust back within the community, and not just with the leaders themselves. We have a lot of projects, even in our communities. People are even shying away these days of registering to even well-registered circles, because there's no transparency. But then we have a tool that you can leverage and try to bring this back. So having these things, and teaching people who don't know about them, and employing them in the community or in our day-to-day lives, um, will really help us a lot, especially as a continent that perhaps every other person is looking at suspiciously. If we have this especially the Web3 and blockchain skills, then we employ them in our daily activities, then we are going to leapfrog a lot of regions to win that trust back among the community members themselves, or between the community and the leadership. So uh, with Web3 and blockchain, let's check the programs that, for instance, is provided at Alchemy University. Then there's a portal for Ethereum developers that you can make use of and get to learn there. And also there's a new project that we are building, a learning platform that it's not we are building, but rather it's operational right now, called Wizenwell. That's a German statement rather for wisdom or knowledge well. So there you'll find several courses talking about varied things in life, and I'm also one of the teachers there who is teaching blockchain there and Web3, so you can come and learn. And at the end of the day, you'll realize that when they are very much affordable, and the wealth that you're going to come out with is something that is going to help you for a very long time in future. So um, how do you access all this affordably? One, all the sites I've talked about, um, GitHub Student Pack, to enroll perhaps all the free tools there. Then get certifications through Coursera or Udemy. You know, they're mostly discounted. I think perhaps we can afford them here and there. Get the quality ones, get to pay for these things, and learn and learn and learn. The good thing is you can go at your own pace as long as you paid for these courses. And then another thing that most of my colleagues have also talked about, um, join now local communities. For this sake, I'll talk about joining tech communities like the Google developer groups. You know, there's I have Nairobi. You can join Zinji Africa, and also there are just so many of them on Telegram, the Discord. There are a lot of groups, and then when you're in these groups, take the challenges that are there. There are also some challenges that some friends of mine usually post, even on LinkedIn. Like every Saturday, they post challenges that the people then get to do, and then they give results a little later. So when you employ these things, then at the end of the day, you'll realize that your skills are going to be more. And then you talk about these things. Once you believe that you've acquired at least some knowledge that can get you um, junior level entry or junior level or an entry position, then speak to someone whom you feel might have a connection or might have a project that can test your real life skills, and also speak about your experience in professional platforms, because we are 8 billion people in this world. I'm not going to know that there's a colleague somewhere down south in Livingstone in Zambia that does not have a project yet and really wants one, and you know should get one. So when you speak, when you collaborate, when you network, then we'll get to see through all this. And if you have willingness to learn, then we will get to you're going to get into an environment where you're going to be nurtured. The good thing is these days, I think these communities of similar professions, people get to I'd not use babysit, but they got each other's back. They have each other's back. So when you join these things and you collaborate, we introduce you to other peers or other mentors that can mentor you. Then at the end of the day, you can then advance, get jobs. There's something that I was just scrolling along through Twitter, and someone wrote something today on X. I mean, that he was talking about the power of networking and being nice to people and collaborating and just saying hi. That he was talking about how he got into serious wealth, and right now the guy is, you can call him a millionaire. He got into that level by just being approachable, being smiling enough to ask someone about how they're doing. So if you don't speak, you'll realize that out of the 8 billion people, nobody is going to cherry pick you where you are, that, to come and lift you. So my final word would be that even at boot labs, uh, I think I saw some colleagues of mine from there. We don't hire degrees, just as my colleagues said. I think it was justice. We don't hire colleagues. It's not just on the gig jobs alone. Even in tech, I do not take someone who comes in with a master's degree and can't write a code in the name of papers. So we hire proof of work. So if you can train yourself, be disciplined enough to show me a GitHub repo, a working app, or a clean API that you built, if I have an opportunity, then I deny this opportunity, then I be damned that I'm one of the most evil-hearted people in this world. So we need, as young people, we must stop waiting for institutions to catch up. You know, but rather let us build, let us ship, and let us collaborate. And most importantly, let us try to solve real problems. I was talking to my friends the other day. We have some communities where we with some men that we uh, interact with weekly. I was telling them one problem that we have, especially in tech, is copy paste. There are a lot of copy paste. Even if you check right now, for instance, I'm sorry also to speak about this, um, 60 to 70% of the fintech products are payment gateways. So you ask yourself, how many gateways are we going to have? And one of the reasons why this is coming is because people are just so self-centered and also not ready to think in a cohesive and in a cohesive way to think about joining, partnering, for the correct term, partnering to build an awesome product instead of having fragments of products here and there. That at the end of the day you have 3, 4, 5 systems just to send money. It doesn't make sense. And then there are a lot of things that we can do. Kenya, for instance, we still are, even the government is still struggling to just have a one unified digital infrastructure platform that then communicates even throughout all these ministries. These are things that we don't need a Mzungu as a service, sorry to speak that term here, to enable us have them. We can do these things, write proposals, visit these ministries, and have a sit down with them and talk to them about it. And I'm glad that we have at least someone a little open when they don't know things, like our current minister who said he doesn't understand things to do with cryptocurrency. How about now you get that as an opportunity to get to sit this man down and try to tell him then why this thing is important. Then if you are building a project, then
Sorry, it seems like we've lost Hamilton. Hamilton, can you hear us? Hamilton? Okay, thank you so much, Hamilton. Of course, Hamilton was talking about the availability of skill gap, and Hamilton also told us that the in-demand skills are the full stack website development, cybersecurity, and blockchain. He also said that the cheapest platforms to learn these things are the Google Analytics, Coursera, and Udemy. So thank you, Hamilton, for that. Even if we have seemed to lose your you, but our next speaker is Adesua Ekeng Buddha, and I would like him to explain to us how public and private sector collaboration help increase youth access to skills, training, and develop and employment opportunities. Welcome, Adesua.
All right. Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for the question. So I'm going to like share my story again, like I did the first time, because in my story lies the answers to this question. So I am someone that have worked with both public and private sector, including I worked as a project coordinator, as I mentioned earlier, with my state. So I'm from Edo State in Nigeria. My state-owned skills development agency, and it was an agency that always collaborated with government and private organizations. And I am currently country director for EduTech Global Nigeria. And I can tell you one thing. One thing I would say is this: collaboration between both public and private sector is not just beneficial; it is something that is really, really essential. Okay, so let me start with the first point. Yeah, one of the biggest challenges that most young people face today is not the absence of education. No, it's not as if they are not educated, especially for most African children. They go to primary school, they go to secondary school, then maybe they skip the tertiary part, but for some they do. But the mismatch here is between the fact that they are taught what the market requires. Sorry, yeah, they are taught what the market requires. And we realize that the skill training to be for the skills that they've learned in school, for that training to be effective. And most times in schools, it is usually the theoretical part that they teach, and the practical part is like left out of the circle. They have to have like places where they can learn this thing in depthly, like skills that they've the knowledge, the theoretical knowledge that they've gotten from their education or from wherever. They have to have like practical training sessions. And most times, if you look at it, it is the private organizations, private like training, just like the previous speaker was talking about, NGOs, NPOs, private organizations that can actually do this training in depth. The government is just going to provide a platform for you to maybe give you a wider reach, support you with a venue and all of that, but they do not have the like technical know-how to actually like bring up all of this training and say, okay, we've become so optimum in AI and we want to. They usually need private organizations to collaborate with them to make sure this is a reality. And I have an NGO that I started, I think, 5 years ago, and when I lead community-based empowerment projects with my NGO, so the name of my NGO is the Osemude Center for Children, Women, and Youth Empowerment. I've partnered with organizations like NAPTIP, like IOM, Red Cross, Human Capital Development Office in Nigeria, but all of this is also tied to the government. So for any of your, what do they call it now? For any of your, uh, like for any project you want to do and you want it to make a lot of sense, if you usually it's like for private organizations, because EduTech too is a private organization. I am currently country director, like I mentioned. You have to involve the government because they will give you that platform to scale and to like create more awareness, unlike when you want to do it on your own. So just like I mentioned, it is really key that for any business, or even if you are just one person and you can be an advocate, you can be a policy implementation person, whatsoever you are. For you to have more reach and more access, it is also good to partner with government establishments. Okay, so I was talking about EduTech. Let me give you a case study. EduTech Global is an educational platform company that originated in Namibia. And now we operate in Kenya, we operate in Zambia, and currently Nigeria, and more other countries upcoming. I see a unique model playing out here because in Namibia, the government is already collaborating with us to implement 2D stroke 3D simulations stroke digital learning solutions in schools like the Namibian University of Science and Technology and some other schools. And we are currently trying to see how we can make this like spread out in other countries where we're at with the intervention of the government, with the intervention of the government. So it's all about integrating innovation into public education, but in a sustainable and structured way. Remember, we're a profit organization. The government is non for profit, but we can always meet halfway. The goal is to share value. So for me as EduTech and for the government as the government, they need our resources. They need to upskill. They need to become tech affiliated and know what is currently happening in that trend. And at the same time, we need them to pay our bills, and we need them to also like continue to exist, and at the same time spread the value that we have to share. For Nigeria, okay, so another example I would give for EduTech is so they in order for us to give back, We decided to take the training sessions for the 2D, 3D simulations. So let me explain it in detail for people that are not conversant with what I'm saying. We take your school curriculum and we convert it to a digital visual curriculum, such that as they are teaching, if it is physics, chemistry, let's say they want to add a calcium with sodium, it has to change color, it has to look good. And for some African schools, they lack laboratories. So we bring this visual picture to your school and show it to you on a screen or on your phone or whatsoever it is. So in as much as you do not have a lab, you already know that if these two components should mix, this is what it's going to give you. It will show you the reaction, if it's going to be bringing out any gas or any color, if it's going to be bubbling, something of that sort. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. So that's basically what EduTech is about. And we in Namibia, we were able to collaborate with the prisons authorities, and we gave them, like the prisoners, just to educate them. There are some of them that would like to go to school there. We gave them access to this platform, like the basic part of it for free, so that they can also learn at a faster pace and technological trends, and make sure they understand what they are learning. And so far it has helped us get other schools, other government platforms to thrive. So I'm just giving you an example with EduTech. Then in Nigeria, we are currently trying to replicate the same thing. And I would say that no single entity can solve any problem in a very, as I think one of the speakers mentioned that for an organization or for anything to work, you have to have both the government, you have to have private institutions, you have to have NGOs, NPOs. Everybody has to come together to collaborate to make sure that that result that will be given will be optimum. Yeah, so the model I just talked about is powerful because government brings access and NGOs bring grassroots insights. And private tech firms like EduTech, like my organization, we bring tools and innovation. And together, that's a winning formula for me. So why collaboration matters is that the government alone cannot fix any form of unemployment, or, we talked about skills here. We've talked about the things that we need to do, what we are not doing, what Africa needs to embrace and all. The NGOs too cannot do it. I see a lot of NGOs doing free trainings, come and learn this, come and learn that. But then again, when it comes to trying to register your business, when it comes to trying to what's the word I would use? Aside registering your business, when it comes to knowing what taxes to pay and all, that's where the government comes in, because it is the government that sets up all of this. And for the private organizations, these are the businesses we are talking about. So it has to be a three-way street. Everybody has to play their role. Yeah. And private sectors too cannot play and understand community realities alone. But when all of these three people come together, it brings okay, let me give you an instance. So if you have access, you have innovation, you have sustainability, you have policies and practice and people, and you also have resources and reach and relevance. So to give you a wonderful project or whatsoever it is that you're trying to actualize, to give you a wonderful solution or concept at the end of the day. And one of the things in project management is monitoring and evaluation. You have to be able to evaluate anything that you're doing at the end of the day, regardless whether it is your personal job, whether it is a government project, whether you're an NGO, to see how well that project did, so that you can know what to do during the next phase. And you have to make sure one thing that is to be measured in every project is impact. How much impact did that thing make? And like I said, if you want to make serious impact, you have to involve all of the parties. And okay, so I was giving an example. I said the government can support with policy and infrastructure, like training centers and educational reform, just like I mentioned earlier. I think private sectors too can bring in technical know-how, just like the previous speakers talked about. Internship, internship is key. Internship, most of us are not willing to intern. Some internship are non-paid. Most African youths are not willing. It is now that their eyes are opening to this. They are not willing to intern if there's no money attached. Mentorship sessions. Somebody talked about the underestimated part of mentorship. Mentorship is key. As I'm here now, as being a country director, I also have mentors. I have mentors that have passed through the same phase, some in similar journeys, and they know much more than me. And I still seek their tutelage to make sure I know much more, or I need direction or guidance. It is very key, regardless of where you are, you need mentorship. And entrepreneurship support. This is for the entrepreneurs. If all of these people come together, trust me, NGO bringing grassroots access, They bring trust because they're the ones that relate with communities more and community engagement. You will make a wonderful team. So, okay, so what does this mean for young people? It gives you relevant training that leads to real jobs. So I just gave an example. You have an NGO, you have I'm going to give one example with my personal experience. You have an NGO, you have a government establishment, you have a private sector that is bringing the training. The NGO is bringing the people because they've interacted with these people and these people trust them to an extent. The government is bringing policies, they are bringing, let's say, training centers and all. When you do all of this together, just like I mentioned earlier, it gives these people like a well-rounded up skill and in a comfortable environment with good ambience and in an environment where they can trust people to thrive and learn the skill. And at the end of the day, they can also get support to set up businesses. Then internships and apprenticeship placements that can build experience. I also talked about internship. I talked about apprenticeship. Apprenticeship, some get paid, sometimes they don't. The knowledge is what you get. But I would really want to encourage people here to volunteer. There was one of the speakers that spoke about all of the organizations that you can partner with. I think the guy from Ghana. Sorry, I can't really recall your full name, but I know the person was from Ghana and he spoke about these things. And I will advise the people that are connected to this call to look into all of these platforms he has talked about. If you go to sites like Opportunity Desk, Opportunity for Africa, and all of those other sites, you will see a lot of opportunities that are synonymous with Africans and the global a community as a whole. So you can actually key into these things and see how it can help you because some are NGO related, some are provided by for the government, some are provided by private organizations like internships and all. Please let's encourage the Africans we know, the people in our communities to key into this and mentorship and exposure to entrepreneurship to real life mentorship. So I don't know if anybody's conversant with UBA Bank. I think a United Bank for Africa. It's one of the banks in Nigeria, and I was recently reached out to be a mentor for UBA because they do this Tony Olumelu Foundation and they call it TEF grants, and I was able to mentor just one person, but I realized that during the process of the mentorship, I learned one or two things from her here because she was somebody that was really passionate about the little business she had and the reason why she started it. And I saw somebody that was really relentless. And at the same time, I taught her all the things I knew. And after that time, the mentorship continued. And I'm very sure now because she sent me a message earlier that she's really grateful for the mentorship and I've given her insight, I've exposed her to one or two things and she has moved and she was giving me progress report and I was really happy about this because come on, I didn't it was not something that I would have okay on a normal day if I were to charge I would have charged a very like big fee for this but I did it for free as like a mentor and mentee kind of relationship. So when you have mentors it will give you access to information that on a normal day you will never have had and you can get this mentorship from people in when you let's say when you intern or when you decide to do work, let's say volunteer in an NGO or in a government establishment, you can get people like that to mentor you. Okay, and we also have digital tools and platforms that enable learning anytime, anywhere. Yeah, I mentioned all of those websites and the person that spoke about opportunities. Okay, so for all of us as Africans now, we require for every person. So I have a mantra. My mantra is to be the change. The world needs to be a better place. So I'm going to pause here and share a story. There's something called the compulsory 1 year service period for Nigerians. If there's any Nigerian here, they will know what I'm talking about. And I had to go and serve in a very rural community because I stay in a urban like the urban area. I had to go to a community that was really rural to the point where you will not be able to get access to use like the toilet. They do not have water system. They don't even have like a pit toilet. What they have there is like when you go to the bush and just like dispose of whatsoever you want to and then you go away. It was very rural. And the first thing that struck me was, how did I end up in this? I was very angry. I was feeling very like angry and it was, I would not lie to you, it was in that place I realized that there was life outside my urban city. There was life outside where I live because I realized that these people too have difficulties, but they've been able to navigate, they've been able to innovate and find a way around it. In order to get power to charge your phone in that community, you have to walk for like 2 miles to the market. And that is where you see people that have generator to like help you with power. It was that bad. But I realized that A lot of these people did not have access to the opportunities that I had because I had to teach in a school. A lot of these people were passionate about learning and they needed the exposure. And so what I did, I gathered a team of other club members. I decided to do like a training session. I said, okay, everybody, tell me the skill you have. Let's come together. And the first thing they asked me was, funding is very key. How are we going to fund this project? I said, okay, let us meet with the local governments. That's governments now on a local scale. Local government secretariat. Let us meet with religious leaders like the Catholic Church, the mosque, and in that location. Let's meet with these people. Let us meet with people that own businesses in these communities that can help us like fund this project. Now, remember, I was just an individual. Then I did not have an NGO. I was just somebody that was passionate about creating positive change. And I was able to round up like a 3-member team. And we set out at the last, the third person even dropped out because the stress of going to look for funding and also it was just myself and another lady. And we had to use our funding, our own money to like transport to all of these locations because it was a local government. So a local government here comprises of different villages. We are going from village to source for funding, to drop letters, to ask for government support, to ask for private support, to ask. And I was able to, okay, not me, we were able to like bring in a lot of funding that was enough for that project. And we had a little bit left, and I was able to like give reports. So the skills these people were able to learn, they learned how to make liquid soap, how to make perfumes, how to bake, how to make shoes and bags, all of the skills that I learned over time because I like to learn skills. We had to transfer it to these people all for free. Now, taking a look retrospective look back at my story, you will see that I communicated with the local government. They provided funding. I was able to communicate with NGOs, NPOs that were able to also bring in funding and people that had businesses. And these people were willing to come together and say, okay, for the good of the community, for the good of the people here, let us key into this project. Trust me, I was not an indigenous of that place, but I had value to give. I was not from that place. From the south. Those people were from the east. But because they saw value in the project that I had at hand, and they knew that this person with, when you write your project, the concept note and the proposal, if it is looking like really realistic, it will be obvious to everyone. If it is looking like something that you just want to use to take money and run away, it will be obvious to when these people interact with you. A lot of them have had experiences. And I tried as much as possible to ensure that every partner had a feedback at every point in time when this whole thing was going on. And I was able to put and I got a state honors award. Sorry, this is letter of commendation also. I can't remember which from the state government, that particular state government. I was not from there. I didn't know anything about I just saw a problem and I saw a solution to it. And one of the reasons why I did that was because in the school where I was teaching, now this is a very sensitive topic. I realized that most of the female children in that school, once they started like school, let's say like 90 students start off in a class, 90 of them, 45 of them are female, 45 of them are male. Once they are entering into the next class, you will hear that 3 of the students or 5 of the students have gone to marry. That's the girls. When they're moving to the next class, you hear that maybe 10 of them have dropped out. They are now married. When you move to the next class, so it was a very funny situation or scenario. And I kept wondering, these girls have not been able to like learn so much to a point where they will say, okay, I can use this thing to get a job. So that was what triggered my wanting to teach them skills that would also come in handy. It's a vocational form of training. In as much as they already know how to read and write and exchange money and communicate, then we can like proceed from there. They can have skills rather than just be housewives who sit at home and not have anything doing and just saying, oh, my husband brings the money. A woman too can also contribute. So that was one of the main reasons why I decided to do what I decided to do. And I also had other experiences with a lady that, okay, so let me just share this story. I only share it anywhere I go. So I had a student that was already an auxiliary nurse. And you know what an auxiliary nurse is? Somebody that is already did not go to the nursing institution or the nursing school, like that is a tertiary education, but they like support the person that goes or the person that has the experience. They support a nurse or a traditional person that takes deliveries. So they learn the work through that means. So she was going to school with the dream of becoming a nurse, but she had a constraint. Her parents were uh people that did not believe in educating the girl child. So she had like 3 other sisters above her, and they had all married. So it was her turn to like follow the same like route of going to get married. And she was the most intelligent student in that school, the school where I taught. She was the brightest student, and she was a girl child, and she already had the skill, like the basic knowledge. All she just needed was a tertiary push, and then she becomes like certified, and she can earn real and good money from it. And I noticed that her countenance started to change in school. And when I asked her, she would say nothing. She would not want to speak. Then all of a sudden, I stopped seeing her. And I asked around, and they said her that it is her time to go and get married. This is so we call it senior secondary school 3, like the last class you go to in your like secondary education. And it was just like the WAEC exam was just around the corner. That's the West African exam that they take. It was just around the corner. I was like, no, this cannot happen. And I kept on, so I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, what happened? What is the problem with the school to guide me on how to navigate. I spoke to the what did they call it now? Like the inspector for the NYSC, like a government person, to be able to say, okay, please, I would like you to come and like come through for this situation. And all of these people played a role in ensuring that this lady was actually able to go to school. She's a graduate now, yeah, to the glory of God. And each time I remember that story, I see that when it reminds me of the power of collaboration. I had to involve the government, I had to involve the community leaders, I had to involve a lot of people just because I realized that this person had a lot of like capacity, and she had a lot to give, and it would have made it. I know now that wherever she's making impact because she was a good person. And just like I've said all of this, I've said why public stroke private partnership or non-profit is really essential. When all of this power people come together, or power organizations come together, there's a tremendous change that can take place. And the same thing for skills, the same thing for employment, because where I worked was a skill development agency platform. I'd seen it real and firsthand, how people would come, private organizations would come and say, we want to do trainings, and the government to say, okay, we can give you the space, we can provide lunch, we can provide the stipends, just to make the process, like, you understand what I'm saying, just to make it seamless. And NGOs and NPOs will say, okay, we have the people, and they bring people that do not have the skill spiral. And at the end of the day, it is a wonderful marriage. It is a marriage of like innovation, policies, and opportunities and trust, like within the parties. And I would want to conclude by saying that for Africans, the marketplace is changing fast. One thing that almost every of the speakers here have spoken about is the need to become digital, the need to like join the bandwagon of change for artificial intelligence. I was talking about the Global AI Council. I volunteered there as head of research project and innovation. We do what do they call it now? We do occasionally we do when you do surveys and you ask questions and all, you realize that there's whole lot to be done for Africa. We are still kind of like backward. I would not want to say backward, but we are trying to catch up as it pertains to artificial intelligence and the diverse things you can get from it. There are a lot of things that can be gotten, and that is one of the reasons why EduTech, aside the 2D, 3D simulation thing, we are also into artificial intelligence. We teach skills like graphic design, just for like a stipend, for a token rather. And we are just trying to make sure value is given, and Africa joins this bandwagon of change. Look at organizations, rather look at countries like China, look at countries like Japan, and see how advanced these countries are. And then you come to Africa. I don't know if anybody here has traveled to the first world countries, and then when you are coming back, okay, so I had an experience for the first time I traveled, and I went to Dubai. And when I left, the Nigerian airport, I left the airport, and we arrived at the Dubai airport, and I was amazed that the way the airport was, everything was digitalized, everything. There was no need to, you understand what I'm saying? There was no need to now start saying, oh, this or that. I saw how advanced they were as it pertained to technology. And I kept on wondering, why is Africa still where we are? with all of the resources we have, with all of the human resource and empowerment, like apart from resources like natural resources, human resources we have, why can we not just be like India? India is very good at I think the medical field, because they decide to work on it. They have their own issues and all, but they are deciding to take it one step at a time, and they are really catching up. But for Africans, we just sit back and expect um like the change to just come from wherever, forgetting that we are the ones that will champion the change. Myself, I am a change agent. Every other person on this call is a change agent. And we have to start to see ourselves as change agents for positive change and impact, for the changes that we are doing in our various countries or wherever, the various places, to now make sense. All of us have to come together. All of us have to play that key role to ensure that this change becomes like little drops of water makes a mighty ocean or makes a bucket full. All of these changes, all of these drops come together to make sure we have a full bucket. And tomorrow we can say, if you are looking for people that are very good at AI or whatsoever it is, come to Africa. Just like people go to India when they want to get core representatives, when they want to companies that do tech skills and so on, they go to India because they have the manpower. So I just want to encourage everyone here, and I also want to thank Yalda for giving me this opportunity to speak. And I think that will be all for my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adesua. Talking about the importance of collaboration and implementing the practical training sessions. She also said that we don't have a problem. Our problem is not the absence of education. Thank you so much, Adesua, for that. I would like to invite Abasi Ahmed to explain to us how public-private sector collaboration help increase youth access to skills, training, and employment opportunities. Welcome, Abasi. Abasi Ahmed, I don't know whether Abasi is here with us. Okay, if we cannot hear Abasi, then because of time, I think we will not have our Q&A today. But actually, I want to thank everyone for that interactive session. The session has been lively. We urge all participants to follow Yalda on all our social media platforms and register for our mailing list for the latest news on African development, employment, and scholarship opportunities, and also inspiring African youth stories. Also to note is that all the live attendees of this webinar will receive a certificate of participation from College Guide Africa. At this juncture, I would like to invite Rediala.
Yes, yes.
Rediala, welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. So just a quick reminder for everyone to follow us on our social media platforms, so you can receive information about our programs and events. And I also wanted to let everyone know that we'll be launching our Q2 of the Empower Your Skills workshop, and the application is open now, and it will be pasted. The application link will be posted in the chat box, so everyone should apply. We'll be taking you through practical and interactive skills that will make you ready in academic, leadership, and professional environment. So thank you, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for this insightful webinar. We hope you have gained valuable knowledge, and thank you to our speakers for sharing their expertise and experience, and thank you to Alan too for co-moderating me. Thank you very much. We really appreciate everyone. So thank you, and have a wonderful evening. So don't forget to follow us on social media, both Yalda and College Guide Africa, and the link for the workshop too has been shared in the chat box, so everyone should make sure to check that out. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Have a good evening.